Hello, hello, hello. It's Crafty Kris here. Surprise, it's not Alexis. Hi, everybody. Joke's on you. Actually, Alexis was unable to make it this evening, and so I thought I would pop on, as she will probably be back next week, and share with you something that I'm having a blast with, actually. And I just want to give it a few minutes for everyone to log in. And I'm just liking some of your comments. Oh, some of you noticed. All right, now I'm going to be turning my head away from the comments. So I'm hoping, I noticed that Sherry's on and possibly Darlene will be on a little later. They can answer some questions as we get rolling. Just want to give it a little bit more time. I love how punctual you guys are. This is great. And I'm noticing, oh, yeah. Okay. I see some new names on there, or maybe names I haven't seen in a while. I have a little bit of something for everybody tonight. Oh, hot Saskatchewan. Windy. Yeah, it's not too cool over here either. We had some rain today, and I think it made it more humid than nice and cool. Montreal is represented. Wow. Awesome. Just a couple of more minutes. Love that we have such a group of people from all over Canada. This is great. You're probably wondering why I have the blue star stickers, but you will see. It's one of the ideas I had with this. And I'm afraid that I haven't turned off my clock, so I better go in and double check that I have. There we go. Now it will not beep. All right. How we doing? I don't want to start and leave anyone behind, but I don't want to be late for anyone else. Chilliwack, BC. And it's toasty on top of that. Very nice. Love it, love it, love it. Cross the country representation. Exciting. All right. Okay, I'm going to get slowly started. So tonight, I'm having a hard time getting my words out here. So I wouldn't be historically a PinkFresh user. It's not really my type of product or style of product, but I got onto this washi tape. I was doing a workshop and I got to play around with the washi tape and the dye, and I kind of saw some potential in it for someone who's more of a junk art type person. So just to tell you a little bit about the product. So this particular set that I'm working with tonight is called Hibiscus. Right now in the store, we don't have the washi sets at the moment because we are waiting for the next release, and it's coming fairly soon. However, we can get, if you contact the store via email and let them know what you're interested in, we can get previous releases with the washi, the dies, the stamps, the stencils, whatever it is that you want. So if you go online tonight, you will see that there isn't anything available at this time, but keep your eyes open because there is a new release coming. All right, so this one, as I was saying, is Hibiscus, and Hibiscus is a 4-piece ensemble. There is a stencil, a stamp, a die, and a washi tape with this product. I happen to be lucky enough to get my hands on a die and a washi tape, and I've been playing around with it. So the first night I got this, I went to town. I said, oh, this is awesome. I'll just take the roll, I'll cut it all up. So I made all of these flowers just on cardstock, and I only got to 14 sets, and I thought, look at how much more I have to do. So if I did 14 sets and I still have all this washi left over, there's a lot of washi here. And I can make a ton more sets. I don't have to worry about getting them into my collection quickly because I'll have it for a little while. It's a very value-added set. So how I store these things, I'll show you how to do the cutting and everything in a moment, and also how I use them. But literally, I just pre-cut them. And I'm a big fan of having things ready to go because I don't have the patience of doing all the die cutting and everything. I just want to pull stuff out of my containers and get started. So I'm just going to stuff these. Oh, they're all getting caught up. Should have done a practice run on that. Okay, so literally I just throw them all into a baggie, something like this. Zip that baggie up, and I have these containers which you can get at Papercrafter's workshop, and I literally, that's it. So I cut them, I stick them, I cut them, and I pop them into a baggie, and that's how I store them. And they're always available, and I just pull them out and pick the pieces that I want and do the compilation that I want. So as I said, it's a very easy product to use. Actually, it doesn't take that much time, but I am an impatient person by nature, so I like having things ready for me. But certainly you can see how quickly you can cut this washi product, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So technically what this is it's a 12 by 12 piece of paper. Okay, so one 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I cut the paper 8.5 inches, and then from the 8.5 inch piece I cut 4-inch lengths. So this is 8.5 from here to here, and then I cut 4, 4, and 4. This paper I obviously will put in my my to be used later stash. So the reason why I pre-cut things right to the size is I hate wasting paper, and I'm a bit of a scrounger that way. But this way I can fit an actual length of the washi right onto that piece of paper. So one repeat, you'll notice if I pull this all the way out, oops, that's not going to be helpful. This flower starts to repeat again, and this flower starts to repeat again. So this is where my repeat line is. I just simply cut and then I line it up at the edge of the piece to make sure that I get everything on. And I think I might even be short. because I was really making sure everything would fit on. I am short, so it's not 8.5, it's 9. There we go. And you want to make sure that you have, I'm not going to cut these guys out. Well, I guess I will. You want to have your washi spread out nicely onto your paper. You can use a bone folder. I happen to have a Teflon thing that I use in my kitchen. So there's one sheet ready to go. Now I'm going to take another one. And if you're going to pull out your die cutter, you might as well pull out your die cutter to actually do a little bit of die cutting. There's no point waiting and doing one cut at a time. I'll line this up this time. Alrighty. So I just do that, and I make sure that I kind of spread it out so that it doesn't pull off the paper. Oh, my little note. Okay, it's not 4 by 8.5, it's 4 by 8 3/4 or 4 by 9 if you want to have lots of room. And I'm just going to leave that to the side because we really only need to cut one together. And I make sure that I have one side straight, and then I just flatten it out. And that's it. Then I pull my machine up when I'm ready to go. I need my long plates for this because this is just a bit longer than the plates that I have. Spellbinders has out that, or one of the companies, Sherry can maybe give us the name of it, has a system that's just a little bit longer than the small plates, which is great for these PinkFresh cutting plates, but I can't remember which company it is. All right. Now mine's a bit short, but I'm going to cut it anyway because I can slip a little bit of cardstock in there afterwards. So now I've got my paper down and on my plate, and all I basically do is locate and what do you call it? Locate and sort of eyeball around, let me get this into the screen a little more, around the shape. And these dies are fairly forgiving. They're intended not to be right on your edges so that you have a little bit of a white edge around. So I'll show you what I mean by that. It's not the best example, so they have a little bit of a white edge around. And it gives you a little bit of leeway when you're lining things up. So if you're not perfect, you don't have to worry about it. It's just, and I use a little bit of repositionable tape or washi, whatever I have handy. Always try not to line up square. This is only slightly off, but this die itself is ridgy. And I always put my die a little bit down from the front so it has some running room. And then I'm going to line those up. Push it in. And I'm using the B and the C plates. And voila! Look at all those pretty flowers. That's all it took. Cuts like butter. So that's one set, and don't forget I did 14 sets. So look how fast you can do it. I'm going to do another set. I only have a half hour with you, but I'm going to make good time with it. Oops. Gotta have the dye in there. So step 1 is to get the washi on the paper. Step 2 is to line up the dye, eyeballing it as near as possible. Whoops! Talking, not watching. And then running it through your cutter. Cuts like butter. There we go again. More fun. Woo! So you can do that as many times as you want to get as many flowers as you like. So I'm just going to move this out of my space because I want to show you a few things that I have done with this product. And I'll make that all pretty and put that in the baggie with all the other stuff. So one of the things, so this particular set comes with the dye, and each piece you can purchase separately. So you can decide what you want. If you want the washi in the dye, or the stamp in the dye, or the stencil in the dye, or the stamp and the stencil in the dye, or whatever combination you want. For me, I have ordered the stamp to go along with this, and I think I also ordered the stencil, to be honest, because I kind of like it, and I'm kind of getting into stenciling too. So this was not really something I had in my to-do list, but it turns out that in trying it, I've actually kind of quite liked it. So this I have put on cardstock, and you can see that it's quite opaque. You can't see through it. And the reason why I have the stars here is so that you can see that on vellum, you can actually see through it. So I experimented, and you can see the pattern underneath. Now this is a thick vellum, so I think what I'm going to try to do is find a thinner vellum, and I think I'd like to make these ghost images. I have some ideas on putting this on top of pattern paper to give it a whole other dimension. So that's just one thing that I plan to do, and I'll post that in the Papercrafter's Inner Circle when I've finished with that idea, because it's still kind of just percolating inside. Now, most of you know that these products are very, very commonly used for cards. So you've got all your bits and pieces, and then you make your fancy cards, and with the stamp come all the little sentiments that you can make the cards with. I do make cards, but this wasn't really something I was thinking about cards with. I was thinking more about layouts. So here I've created a layout for a 5x5 picture, a 5x7 picture, and I've simply pop dotted and texturized all of those pieces. I do things in 3s and 5s. This one happens to be 3s. So every piece on here, there is 3 of them, which is why it's great that they all cut at one time, because you can get you know, 3 sets is 3 sets. You can use all of them. Now, what I haven't done here is created a 3-dimensional texture, which I simply would do by rolling the edges of the leaves. So I would just go around and curl up the edges of the leaves to give it even more texture and more 3-dimensional feel. But this was so simple. Like literally, I cut one more of these, and that was all the cutting I had to do, and it was all about the gluing and the pop dotting, and then there you go, done. So here's my wedding. I have about 4 weddings to go to this year, so this is one of the wedding pages, and what I'll do is just change up the color in the background for the other weddings, and I literally don't have to think about anything else. I may change this and just maybe do one side for the next one, you know, just a corner application. Another one, I might just do a top application, have it hanging, like, because this looks to me very much like, what's that hanging flower? can't remember now, but it looks like those southern hanging flowers. And so a layout was what I was thinking when I first saw this. And then I started thinking, so we have cards, which is kind of standard. We have now got the idea of a layout, but I also do a lot of junk art journaling. And the washi on its own without the cardstock intrigued me. And so I applied the washi as a strip on one of the pages I wasn't really thrilled with, but I'm starting to like it more now that I've applied the washi on it on either side. So that was my first step in thinking about it. And then I thought, well, if I'm cutting it up, why don't I just cut it into bits? Like you can literally just see that this stuff is just chopped into bits. Maybe I'll take down the light a little bit. There we go. So I've just chopped it into bits. It's not even fancily, I haven't die cut it or anything, and just jammed it on the page. And I quite like the way that that looks as well. So I'm looking at this as both in the die cutting of it, and I can certainly do the die cutting of this as well on there. But another idea I had for it was to apply it, and I'm going to just use my hands to talk for a minute because I don't have a piece of furniture to do it to, but I have seen lots of home furnishings where they've used transfers and things to decorate the furniture. These are very clear, being washi, but if you put it on fabric and sealed the fabric, you could do some sort of covering or like a table runner or placemats, that kind of thing you could use this for. You would have to seal it, obviously, and it would be it wouldn't be something that you would wash. It would be like your plastic placemats. You would just wipe it down. Another thing I was thinking of using the washi and the cutting for was using it as a transfer onto furniture. So you'd want to pre-paint your furniture. Because this has a white background itself, it would be probably best to stick with white. Otherwise you're going to have that white outline, but this on top of a white painted background and then sealed like you would normally seal your transfers for furniture is another thing I was thinking of. So there's just a couple of ideas. Storage, as I've already said, is simple. It's just a Ziploc bag inside one of these containers. You can use any kind of container that you store your ephemera in. In terms of what I stuck it with, I use anything that has a pop-up. If I'm keeping these guys because they're the right size for shaker cards, but there were some smaller bits and some leftover pieces, and I used that to do the pop dotting, and regular adhesive to stick it down. And in I think it was in here, I actually layered one piece on top of the other. I just got yes. So I had a little piece that was torn off from another piece. I've sealed it down so I can't show you, but I can show you the difference in color. So this side is decoupaged with 2 layers, and this has 1 layer. So I'm thinking in terms of when you're doing your junk journals or your furniture or your placemats, you can create a shadow on these, a more realistic shadow, by just simply cutting a half of that image, so 1.5 pieces, and all on the same side, so that that would shade it a little bit more dramatically in your project. So there's a lot of things that I'm sort of just building on right now. I will definitely put any ideas that come out of this, and I'm also getting the stamp and stencil, so I'm going to have more ideas for this. So that's just kind of like touching the surface and giving the beginning. And like I said, started off looking at the washi and the dye and thought to myself, what would I ever use this for? You know, I'm not a card maker per se, but then I started playing with it and my eyes opened up. So it's really important for you to try stuff because you'd be surprised what can come out of it. I never thought until I thought of it, if that makes any sense. Never thought until I thought of it that of using it for those other purposes. So I've got some projects and you will see some things coming into the feed, and I hope that I have given you enough information to sort of take another look at these washi and die sets and stamp and die sets and stenciling and die sets, because they can do a lot more than just cards. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to, I'll just put them in the feed and I will go back and respond to you. I will follow up with finished pictures of things. Both, well, probably not in the Papercrafters workshop, but definitely in the Papercrafters inner circle. And again, as I said, any questions you have, please leave them in the field and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So that's it for tonight. That was down and dirty, quick and easy. So I will bid you good night and have a crafty week. Bye now.